Oh, I completely forgot she was pregnant.
So
because they were all like drinking and like doing drugs, and then I was like, "What is happening?" I was very confused.
Hello.
Yeah.
Do you want to play a game?
What's your favorite scary movie?
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
See dead people.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Here's Johnny.
The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Welcome to Talking Horror with Jamie and Nikisha.
Hi, I'm Jamie.
And I'm Nikisha, and this is Talking Horror with Jamie.
And Nikisha.
Where we share our love for all things scary and talk horror through the lens of human behavior. Sorry, the demon just jumped out of me for a second. Just had to let it out.
Wait, are your lips chapped? Or are they...
Oh, yeah. This is important.
This is very important. But I'm laughing so hard because my lips always stay chapped. And so, like, how are you going to know if I'm being possessed or not?
Oh, no.
I try to keep up with the Burt's Bees. I try. I really do. But it's cold outside, y'all.
It is. It's prime chapped lip season.
Absolutely. And I was outside a lot today, but we'll talk about that later. But today... Oh, it's going to be a fun doozy one. Happy Friday the 13th, first off. Ooh.
Happy Friday the 13th. We've had a lot this year, I think.
Yes, we have.
How many do we
3?
normally have?
I think so.
It varies. Next year, we will only have one. And
No.
Jamie, it's going to be in June.
June!
Yes.
Our birthday month.
Birthday month.
Oh my God, what does that mean?
I don't know, but that's the only one for next year. And then the year after that, there's going to be 3, I believe.
Yeah,
Okay.
so this year... Oh, no, this year was only 2.
Oh, okay.
This year was Friday the 13th in September and December. And then next year's just in June. And then I think that's... And in 2025... 1... And then 2026
Should be like 3, I think.
3. I don't know. This chart is not really doing a good job.
I definitely looked it up because I was like, oh yeah, how
2026 has 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in 2025 June, in 2026 February, March, and November. So what that means is next year we'll be doing Friday the 13th Part 4.
Yes.
Then in 2026 we'll be doing Friday the 13th, Part 5, Part 6, and Part...
We did 7.
8.
8. Oh, right.
We did 7 already.
We did 7. Telepathy.
So,
yes. Or
So
whatever,
next
yeah.
year is the final chapter. Then... the controversial one, New Beginning.
Oh.
Then Jason Lives, which is my favorite, and then Made in Manhattan, Jason in Manhattan.
Which I can't
And then
wait.
In 2027, we'll finish the chain with which would Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh, okay. Well, then we have to bring up, Freddy versus Jason at some point.
Oh, then we'll do Friday.
Yeah.
Well, here's a question: should we then do all of the Nightmare on Elm Streets and then, like, or we could do them concurrently, and we can figure out which days we do that. And by the time we're done with the Friday the 13th episodes, then we can like celebrate by doing Freddy versus Jason.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Interesting.
I like that idea. Like, have all the information for both chains and then, like, finalize it, period, at the end, Freddy versus Jason.
Have we done Nightmare on Elm Street? Any of them?
Gosh, I don't think so.
I thought we did the... wait, did we do the third one?
I don't think so.
Really?
Oh, gosh. Because I know we've always talked about it.
I don't think we've ever done a Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, then, absolutely. Let's get in there.
We'll put that on the docket for next year. That's a good... We'll start those. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
We started Chucky. we start on this podcast at least. We started Chucky. We've done 2 Texas Chainsaw Massacres.
Yes.
The first one and the new one. And then what are some other
Halloween stuff.
We did Halloween and Season of the Witch. And we did the 3 new ones.
Yes.
We didn't do any of the other ones.
H2O, whatever.
Yeah, Resurrection or 4, 5, and 6, which I like. I like 4 and 5.
Work.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Yes, let's do it.
We got too deep in the franchise sauce.
Yes.
But no, that's fun. I'm glad we're talking this out. It's the end of the year. And we have our top 10 coming up for all of us. That's my favorite episode, the recap of the year. I'm very excited. Anyway.
Yes. Yeah, and there will be lots to discuss because did stuff come out towards the end of the year. So
right.
And still stuff that hasn't come out yet.
Truly.
I know.
Yes. So it's going to be a doozy of a list, but I'm super excited. But it's Friday the 13th, so we have to talk about Jason. And as producer Brian mentioned, we are talking about Friday the 13th, Part 3, 1982.
Maybe we shouldn't do this, Ali.
Hey, we gotta even the score, don't we?
Nobody's gonna get hurt, okay, babe?
Right.
.3D slasher film, which this was a fun way to watch and realize it was 3D before knowing it was actually 3D.
So sure. Yes.
A great time. But Friday the 13th Part 3 was directed by Steve Miner, and it stars Dana Kimmel, Paul Kratka, and Richard Brooker as Jason. So heavy spoilers for Friday the 13th Part 3 if you have not seen it. And Jamie, please hit us with those trigger warnings.
I mean, it's a slasher film. It's a lot of insides on the outside in a variety of convenient yet silly ways to murder a bunch of people.
Yes.
There's just lots of stabbings from the perspective of this movie being made in 3D, except when you're not watching it in 3D, it just looks like weird angles of
very silly
stabbings, like a spear gun in the eye, but not as dramatic.
God, it's so bad.
Oh my god!
An eye.
And then always decomposing more mommy issues.
Oh yeah.
She's always not
always
doing
present.
too hot.
Yeah.
I mean, I could say with the there's machete action, knife, electrocution, a fire poker.
Yeah,
I think at some point. Is that?
I think that's pretty much everyone.
I guess he kills a fetus.
Oh, because she was pregnant. I forgot.
Yeah.
Oh, I completely forgot she was pregnant.
So
because they were all like drinking and like doing drugs, and then I was like, "What is happening?" I was very confused.
Yeah, Debbie. I feel like it's when people. The long story short, when people tally all of Jason's kills in these movies, some people's lists are off by one, and some people's aren't.
I'm screaming. That feels right. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Got it.
All right.
Yes. All right. Fantastic. Well, before we get into everything, producer Brian, please give us some words.
Sure. Happy Friday the 13th, people. We hope that you're having as much fun as we are. And quite frankly, you can also have fun with us wherever you are on social media. Not wherever, actually. at Talk Horror Pod. We are on TikTok for the time being until they take it away from us.
Yeah.
Then we are on Blue Sky and Instagram, and YouTube. Hi, YouTube. My suggestion would be, if something happens with TikTok, Instagram and YouTube are the two places that I will be focusing the most on. Putting these episodes up on YouTube. I'm gonna try. I'll use the shorts more on YouTube. I will hopefully do some more Brian producer, the producer's corner. Well, I'll do some stuff there. That's again if we lose the TikTokery, and then I'll put all that up on Instagram too. But definitely follow us on all those places. And yeah, tell us what your favorite Friday the 13th movies are wherever you're following us. Thanks.
Absolutely. This TikTokery, I'm obsessed with that because it just reminds me of Dancery from Mary J. Blige's video.
Oh
Her
yeah.
song.
I know that song.
Yes. Got it.
Hey, good job.
We had an issue with SpongeBob last episode, guys, if you listened. So it's good. We got Brian back with Mary J.
We're
Blige.
back.
Fantastic. Have you guys watched anything new this week aside from our assigned watching?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Oh, I've been meaning to tell y'all that I was listening to the Final Girl Support Group book.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of that book? Okay.
Yeah, I read it. Well, I listened to it. I finished the audiobook.
I'm listening to the audiobook and like I'm cool with the story, but I just am not a fan of the person who's reading the book, so it's really hard to listen.
Yeah.
That's so hard.
Yeah. The only did not finish book that I had this year was from a narrator that I like couldn't get into. So I empathize with you because that definitely. I actually just finished another one of that same author, Grady Hendrix's books, like a day ago, yesterday. I just finished My Best Friend's Exorcism.
Oh, okay.
Which they made the Amazon movie of, which I have not seen, but I have been told is not as good as the book. So if you like the book and you haven't seen the movie, you have the chance to be disappointed, I think. I might just avoid the movie altogether since I had a positive experience with the book.
That's fair.
Well, maybe I'll jump ship to that book.
That one, I think it was a good narrator. I have started listening to books on a slightly faster speed. Like 1 point, not super fast because then it's like, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening. It's kind of just like, and then I can't understand what's happening. So, but yeah, just so I finish books on time.
I feel that. It's like we still are trying to like listen for comprehension.
Yes, there's like a fine line between like speed read and then like I'm no longer internalizing what's happening.
Right.
Yes.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, yeah, maybe I'll try that book just because the other one. It's also just so funny listening to it, and it's of course referencing all of the Final Girls that we all know and love. You know, and
it's a clever book. I like it.
It is. Yeah. And even speaking on Friday the 13th, one of the girls, it like has the whole moment of Friday the 13th part 2 when she finds the head inside of the refrigerator and then, you know, her killer comes and kills her. Well, spoilers for this book, but it's also just from the movies that we enjoy. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe during the holiday, I'll be bored enough in Alabama to just like finish listening.
I liked, the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. That was a good one too. I think you might find that also really interesting because I think they both take place in the South, which I don't actually know, but my assumption is that this author is based in the South. Yeah, but I could be totally wrong because all of his books take place from the perspective of women, but I think the author is a man, and I also find that interesting.
Is it a good portrayal, like, or perspective
of women? Yeah. I mean. I think so. I just always think it's interesting that all of his protagonists are from a female perspective.
Work. Well, please send me that one as well.
Yes, all of them.
I also did some holiday cheer because we are in December, so yay, and went to the Bryant Park like winter village
Oh yeah,
moment.
I used to go all the time.
Uh,
Was
Did you
it
have
scary?
fun?
Yes. Oh, it was fun and scary. Both of you are correct. Way too many people. It was on a
Sure.
Saturday,
Oh yeah.
and just hordes of folks in, and the lines were super long because of, I mean, social media, God love her, but like has blown up some of the spots in there to where like people are just waiting in line because the place went viral for whatever reason, and so it's
Ugh.
like kind of miserable. But I got this cute Cynthia hat.
Oh,
Oh my
yeah.
god, she's a really cool dancer.
Yes, Boogie to the Groove now.
That's
Cynthia.
cute.
From
Was
this
it
booth
worth
that was
waiting
at
in
Chelsea
line
Market.
for 1,000 years?
Absolutely not. It was like off to the side. So it was like, okay, I'm gonna go here. And then I did my due diligence as a singer, and they had a honey stand, and so I got like
Ooh.
my lemon honey, my ginger honey.
That's nice.
They had like a pumpkin spice honey that I also got because I'm basic.
Oh,
Very excited to
cool.
try that. But yeah, other than that though, it's gonna be listening to those horror books while I'm sitting in my house in Alabama for Christmas.
Are you driving down or are you flying?
No, I'm gonna fly this time.
Oh, okay.
But I still have to actually fly into New Orleans because that's cheaper and closest into Mobile. And then my dad's gonna pick me up from New Orleans. It's like a 2-hour drive to Mobile.
Nice. Cool.
Fun times. All right, guys. Well, we're here to talk about Friday the 13th Part 3, but we need a plot summary. So, producer Brian, could you please give us a 2-minute plot summary of this movie?
What's the plot?
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. All right, producer Brian, 2 minutes are yours to tell us what happened in this movie. Ready, steady, go.
So, Friday the 13th Part 3 is a direct sequel to Friday the 13th Part 2. Jason is gravely injured, and he ends up finding clothes and killing people, and he puts on a hockey mask. I mean, that's not till deeper into the movie. But this is the first one where he wears a hockey mask. Chris and her friends are going to... I don't even remember why they're there. They're going to like her old home on Crystal Lake. And we learn that she was once attacked by Jason. This is not in a movie. She was once attacked by Jason, has like a fear of that, and she's like maybe going to face her fear. No one really knows. Anyway, long story short, her friends get picked off one by one. They run into these bikers because, like, I guess that's what happens. All of her friends are deeply annoying, specifically Shelly. And they get picked off one by one by, as we mentioned, spears, as we mentioned, electricity. Just everyone dies in so many different ways, in the barn, in the lake, and all these things. Anyway, at the end of the day, Chris unmasks Jason, and she's like, "Oh my God, you're the guy who attacked me!" And she has like this PTSD episode. And then Pamela Voorhees shows up again because that's what happens in these movies. At the end, pulling her down she escapes Jason essentially, and then there's the jump scare at the end, but this time with Pamela Voorhees. And then Jason's body, traumatized Chris is being taken away, and then Jason's body is like shown lying next to the barn in the lake, or in the barn next to the lake. And that's the end of this terrible film. I mean, interesting movie.
And that's the plot.
Excellent.
Oh boy.
Yeah, let's get right into it in our newest segment, Trick or Treat.
Trick treat.
Where we, off the top, tell you guys if we liked it, it was a treat, or if it was a trick, it tricked us, it was awful, or if we're in between. So, Jamie, go first. Trick or a treat?
This was a trick. Who made me watch this? I'm gonna find you.
Who made me watch this? Brian, what about you?
This is a trick. This is my least favorite Friday the 13th movie by far.
Yep, and unanimous trick for me as well. Could you imagine if I was like, oh my god, this is my favorite guy?
Yeah. This
I
movie.
just love that one of them was pregnant. Yes.
Yeah, one of them was pregnant. This movie is. We'll talk about it. This movie, because this is the episode, but this movie was so bad, and it's disappointing because I really like 2.
Yeah, 2 is pretty solid.
Yeah, and apparently Friday the 13th Part 3 was going to be the Ginny, the final girl from Part 2. They wanted to have her come back. Basically, the boyfriend and her that survive at the end of the second one, she finds the boyfriend dead in her apartment, similar to the way that the second one begins with the final girl from the first one, Alice, I think. The final girl from the first one is killed, and blah, blah, blah. And that they wanted her, basically they wanted this one to be like a revenge movie where like she trains to like take him down and comes back to Crystal Lake or whatever it is, but she didn't want her to come back to the movies and do the franchise. Like, good for her. So they wrote this one and it's in 3D and it makes you go, whoa, is that a knife coming at me? But really it's just like, oh, there's a knife coming at me.
Which is, it's so funny to think about what it could have been, because also there was talks that it was only supposed to be a trilogy anyway, so this would have been like a good bow tie at the end of this chain if it was just a trilogy.
Sure.
But because they had to deviate, it also just opened up the doors for it to like literally go anywhere it could possibly go. And of course we know and see that it goes literally into space, so anywhere it wants to go.
Literally anywhere.
Literally into space. So I do want to ask this: this is not all of our first time watching this, correct? We've all seen this before we watch this again for the podcast.
This Part 3?
Yes, Part 3.
I've never seen Part 3 before this time.
Oh,
this was my
okay.
first time with Part 3.
This was
got
my
it. So Brian, you just
watching
rewatched all of the Friday the 13th.
Well, some of them I watched for the first time. Jamie joined me for some of them, but not all of them.
Got it.
Not this one. And this one, the reason that I wanted to do this one, once we watched the second one last Friday the 13th earlier this year, all of these are actual sequels to each other. So now we're going to go through them chronologically in terms of release date because they're actual sequels. So we just kind of had to rip the Friday the 13th Part 3 Band-Aid off.
Yes, of course. And what a painful rip that was.
Awful.
So with that said, let's get into our first segment, likes and gripes.
And now our likes and gripes.
Okay. Jamie, you want to go first? Since this is your first time,
Sure.
I think you should go first.
Yeah.
Sure. Let me look at my notes. I liked the starting credits music. I thought it was a bop.
Work. Good 80s bop.
It just like came up and I was like, oh, okay. I also will say I do like that a lot of these movies start with the ending of the previous movie, like a true sequel.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's like, oh yeah, like I only kind of remember what happened at the end. But I do appreciate that. So it makes it a little bit easier to kind of go into the next one, regardless of what is about to happen.
Of what is coming.
I think that might be where my
The
my
lights
likes
end?
stop. Yeah. This movie is not good. I'm going to be totally transparent. I watched this movie in 1.25 speed. And it still took me the full length of like how long this movie was to get through it. So, no time was sped up. There's just so many things that first of all, watching 3D movies not in 3D, hilarious, very funny to me, but also
Very
like
funny.
it didn't even make this enjoyable because they picked such weird things to like make 3D, and
Yes.
a lot of them were not even the kills. Like, for example, the yo-yo scene.
Mhm.
Why is the yo-yo in 3D?
Why?
Like,
Whoa.
it was so silly. So yeah, I don't understand why. Like, I get that you want to use 3D for a horror movie. It makes sense. We all lived through the 2000s. I get it. But like, you pick things that just truly don't matter to use this special effect on. So like, what a waste. Some notes that I had. So there's just like a ton of people not peopling in this movie, and the characters like really don't make sense. Not totally clear what the point of a lot of them are. Even like antagonists, like I don't really think that there's too much of a point to like the biker trio, other than just and same with like the stoners in the back of the truck, other than just having more bodies to kill. But like they really serve no purpose, and it's so silly because it's like, oh, there's this weird feud happening with this random group of bikers who like follow them all the way to the camp and all that stuff. But like what really got me was like, again, decisions that people make that are just not based in real human thought. Like the woman biker, when they were there and they were like pulling the prank of like siphoning out the gas in their van, she literally says, maybe we shouldn't do this. Cue 3 seconds later, she breaks into the barn.
Literally, it
like,
makes all this noise. Is running around.
Oh yeah, that was my next note. And makes so much noise in all caps. Yes. Like why are we doing any of this? I also wrote my next note is there's so many weirdos in this. It makes me wonder if they just added bodies for kills, which is what I think that they did.
Probably.
Then we have Shelley, who is so unlikable.
Oh my god, it's not even there's no redeeming anything about Shelley.
No, he's just annoying. And there's a part where he like keeps pulling all these stupid pranks on his friends, and at one point someone's like, why do you have to do this? And he literally says, I have to. I just wrote, no you don't. Like, I don't know why he's even invited on this trip, because it seemed like they were trying to set him up with someone else, but then they all know each other anyway. But like, why? He doesn't need to do this. Like, clearly nobody likes any of these pranks, so you don't have to do this. This is not necessary. My next note was Shelley needs therapy. I think there's something deeply happening within him, and I think he needs to work on those things before he continues to try to maintain these friendships.
I think that's fair. I also was very satisfied both times watching this movie. Very satisfied that his, all of his pranks led to the death where they're like, "Oh, stop it, man!" Like,
oh yeah,
you're just another prank. Meanwhile, he's like bleeding out. I good. I hope he died thinking that his pranks like didn't get him the medical attention he needed.
Yes. But then someone else gets killed because he is like the boy who cried wolf, which is also stupid. Mm-hmm. Like that's frustrating. It's like, that he's going to do enough pranks that people aren't going to believe, that he's actually being killed. But like, it's all stupid. But then it continues with stupidity. Like, why is this man walking the halls doing a handstand? Why are we doing that? But then hold on, let's take it a step further. When the woman that was, I don't know a single character is in this name, by the way. No. So there's handstand guy, and then there's the woman that was showering with handstand guy. She fully opens up the curtain and just like leaves it open, waiting for him. That was absurd. I was like, I couldn't handle it. And then my next note is just LMAO, the handstand murder.
Oh yeah, the handstand murder, of course.
Of course. A staple.
Anyway, so that was all wild. Then there's a point where Jason is trying to axe a door, but the doors might as well have been made of cardboard. I was like, why are you using an axe on the flimsiest door ever? But what really got me, that I don't think they had done this, and I don't know if they do this in other ones later on that I can remember, but Jason's making all these weird noises. I thought we're supposed to have this like stoic, silent type who's killing, and he's making all of these weird bumbling sounds when like he's like falling over and stuff like that. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. Why are they like, what Foley artist decided that like the big burly Jason needed to be like, "Ooh, like it was just weird. It was so weird. And then that's when I remarked, oh right, I forgot I was watching this in 1.25 because then the sound he was making was like higher pitch, so it was funny.
Oh sure.
Fair, yeah.
But then I think that that end shot is like the end shot that basically replicates the first movie is so cheap and lame.
Yes.
Because like, okay, we're on the third movie. You literally couldn't think of anything else, any other way that you wanted to like end the movie. Like you just rehashed something that already happened. That's so boring and uncreative and like disappointing. The movie already isn't good, but like they just ran out of ideas. So I really hated that. And then my last note is just, why is she laughing? So yeah, I have a lot of gripes with this movie. It was just not good. It was really hard to follow whatever kind of plot there. Like I still don't understand, like you said in the 2-minute plot summary, Brian, like I don't actually understand why they're doing this at all. And like even with the final girl ish who was like, oh, I was attacked and like then I passed out and I don't know what happened, or I blacked out and I don't know what happened. Like why? Who cares? I don't care. I don't care about anything or anyone in this movie.
No.
Truly. No, I agree. And you know what? I never really thought, just because I just threw away this movie after it was done in my brain, but I never really thought about, you really don't understand why the hell they're going back to this place. And also she's like meeting her boyfriend there, who kind of was alluding that he works there in a sense, but it's like, what is happening? It was just very confusing.
This movie stinks.
Yes. But Jamie, I'm just going to piggyback off of what you said. The only thing I really liked was the recap. Literally, my notes said, love a recap. The other thing, though, that couple at the beginning, Jason's first kills, the like fighting
the owners,
of the place,
the general store owners or whatever it was.
Yes, but that man was like the grossest man ever. He was like in the store eating all the things and putting them back and like drinking the orange juice and like putting it back, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And then that whole like bathroom scene too, I was just like, this is a mess. I hate it. He's very gross. And so like nothing else really freaked me out. It was just like he was gross. So I just was like, I'm not here for it. But also a weird people not peopling thing when the kids are in the van driving and the police come, and so they decide to eat the coke and weed. What?
Oh yeah.
That was so stupid.
It was, and then literally they're like, "Oh, the police isn't even coming for us," and like spit it back out. And then I'm like, "You just ate coke? Like, how should you be like responding right now?" And y'all just throwing it away like y'all just didn't inhale like at least something. It was just very weird. Yeah, close up. I literally, my notes was like, these close up shots feel like it should be in 3D or something. Oh, it is supposed to be in 3D.
I had the same thing. I was like, why does this yo-yo scene look so stupid? And then I was like, oh, it's a third movie. It's probably in 3D. And then it was.
Yes, it was that. And then the guy that they almost run over, who's like laying out in the street for whatever reason, but there has to be a creepy guy that warns them to turn away for no reason. He doesn't even say anything.
And he's like, look at my eyeball.
Right.
Ooh.
It's like, God gave me this eyeball as a warning.
Okay,
like,
guy.
all right, guy. This is really crazy. And then I couldn't get the two things together about like Chris being so jumpy when they got there, but it was because of the whole Jason thing. But like, I also don't care. I also have the bikers just super fucking random, and the cashier's like not doing anything. She's like, "Oh yeah, I guess this is what the bikers do when they're in my shop."
They're just the bikers.
It's just the bikers. All horrible acting, just terrible. Yes, but I also put they're working overtime on this music score because I mean it felt like it was just strings galore, like every 5 seconds. Yeah, Shelly's annoying. I'm like, you can't be annoying and mean just because this one girl won't talk to you. Like, he even called her a bitch. And I'm like, excuse you? What?
Oh my God. It was, awful.
Ugh. Yeah, and then the mom, cheap thing. It's like, also, how did her head get attached to her body again? But I guess it was like a figment of Chris's imagination that this was happening.
Whatever.
Whatever. That's all I have. Brian.
Yeah, I mean, so here's my thing about this movie. I didn't remember a fucking thing. Like I did. The two things I remembered from this movie are that he gets the mask
Mm-hmm.
and the bikers. Like I know that the bikers from this one and the mask, and then when the movie started, I was like, oh right, Shelley. But the thing is, every single one of these movies have memorable things. Even if you don't like the fifth one, or you don't like this one or the whatever, it doesn't matter, because there are certain likable things. Whether in Jason Lives, it's the weird, funny groundskeeper, or if it's in the Carrie one, obviously you remember that it's the Carrie one.
Yes.
In the divisive thing in the New Beginnings, and there's always something memorable. This one is just so incredibly forgettable, even though they take weird big swings in this one, and they make there's like a little bit of camp, a little bit of humor, a little bit of like insanity, but it's really just forgettable. I don't really find anything redeeming about this one. This one falls somewhere in between them not finding their kind of campy footing and taking it seriously. It's just weird. It's not fun. The final girl is wildly forgettable. There's just this one just falls through the cracks, and it just doesn't work on so many levels, like on every level. And like, I don't really have anything more. You two just kind of talked on you two talked about all the details on this one, but this one just like it's so boring. And I would actually, like, when I'm ranking my Friday the 13th like listing, this one would be so far below the one before it,
The last one,
whatever that is. Like, this one just like doesn't get it. And a misstep is fine, because 4 is pretty good. 5 is weird. 6 is my favorite. 7 is Carrie. 8 is Manhattan, and it's fucking crazy, and it's not. But even though
that's a weird one.
It's bad. Jamie watched that one with me. Even though that one is really bad, it's really enjoyable on like what the hell am I doing type of way.
Yeah, on the campy level. Yeah.
And
this
I
wasn't that.
Right.
No, and I happen to really like Jason Goes to Hell. But yeah, this one sucks. It's so unfortunate, because like it kind of brings nothing to the table outside of him getting the mask.
Yeah, that's like literally the only thing you know about 3 is that he just gets the mask, and that's it. But you know what? I am so curious to know what the process was, because it seems like with how thrown away this one feels, that they already had the other one pre-made that they wanted to do with 2's final girl, and then at the last second was like, oh, she can't do it, but like maybe we've already like have all this studio time or to record or whatever, you know what I mean? And they like had to put something out there, and so they were like, we'll just do this, and like making it up. It literally feels like they're making up as they go. It's like, okay, what'll be the next scene? Oh, well, let's have
still
this
made
happen.
a boatload of money. So
really, God,
it made 36 for 1982. It made $36 million on a $2 million budget.
That's wild.
And
that's absurd.
It was the second highest grossing. Actually, this is interesting. So it was the second highest grossing horror film of 1982, behind Poltergeist.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie, it came out in it came out on August 13th, 1982. And it was the first movie to remove E.T. from the #1 spot at the box office.
Oh wow.
And E.T. had come out in June. So E.T. was #1 at the box office from June to mid August.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Which, like, stuff like that is unheard of like anymore.
Right.
because like something new, a new superhero, new this, a new musical, whatever comes out every weekend. So I mean that's just
Right.
the business of it all now. But I thought that was interesting.
I also went down the rabbit hole, side note, of just 3D, because I'm like, was it popular because like 3D was like really becoming more popular or whatever? But like 3D dates back all the way to like 1920s, and I didn't realize that that was an actual thing.
Oh yeah,
I don't think I realized that either.
Yeah.
Dial M for Murder, like some Hitchcock
Yes.
ones are in 3D. Yeah, 3D was like in the 50s. 3D was like very popular, which is why like if you ever see a production of Grease, I mean maybe in the movie he wears like 3D glass. One of the guys wears like 3D glasses. Like that's like a cheeky thing from like anything that like is trying to do like a period piece of the 50s with teenagers or whatever it is.
Right.
Anyway.
It's like they're into 3D.
Yeah, totally.
I get that. Okay, great. Anyone else have anything else to add before we move on?
No, what a bummer.
What a bummer. All right, but thank God for 1.25 speed. I didn't know about it, and Jamie mentioned it via text, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's move this along. All right, let's get into our next section. Brains.
Tasty, tasty, tasty.
Tasty. Fantastic. Okay, you already mentioned the laugh, Jamie, so like we have to start there. I want to know your thoughts on what was going on, because it felt like they were trying to portray kind of a disassociative moment in a way. And we're talking about the very end when Chris is being escorted to the police car and she's like screaming for her life, like she's being chased again, and then just starts laughing out of nowhere, and then they all drive away. So please, what are your thoughts?
Oh man, who knows? I don't really know what this movie is trying to say. I mean, I think a lot about how like
fair. Good answer. Good answer.
yeah, full stop.
Absolutely.
But I think a lot about how movies try to portray trauma over different like periods of time. So like the context is constantly different. And it's like, what is the 80s trying to say about trauma? But like I still don't really know. It's like even when you try to put yourself in like, you know, their perspective of what meaning they might want to unpack, I guess. I don't think there's anything. I really have a hard time trying to like get something other than like yes, like is blacking out a symptom of experiencing trauma? Sure. Is that the only like connection that they're trying to make? I have maybe like, because there really doesn't seem to be that much else. Yeah. So
yeah, and it's also interesting too, because it's like, why did they choose the action to be her laughing? Like, is that a reflection of like somebody's going crazy, so they're laughing in a traumatic situation?
Yeah,
it's weird.
It is weird because then it feels like, are you making fun of her? Like what are we doing here? So it was just like confusing to me. But yeah, I mean, again, like how does trauma look? Like there's so many different potential like presentations of trauma that like it's not one thing. But maybe it's because like the acting wasn't particularly compelling, or maybe it's because like it's not totally clear what the point or message of this movie is supposed to be. But like sure, I mean you can have like, you know, like people talk about like inappropriate laughter, right? So like you can have like an inappropriate physical response that you don't really have control over that might not match the situation. Maybe that's what they were trying to do. I can't give them enough credit for thinking that. But like that's totally, you know, like nervous laughter is a great example where it's like you might be laughing in a situation that's awkward, but not because you find that situation funny, but because it's like a reaction to a really uncomfortable situation. You're not doing it intentionally. So again, is that what they were trying to do?
Who knows? No, I get that. That also reminds me of like the Joker, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker with the laugh.
Yeah,
Did
but
you
that's
see
another
the sequel?
movie that I can't.
Yeah, I didn't because I heard so many bad things about it that I just decided I'll wait till it comes out on streaming and then watch it.
I think it's on Max now or something like that.
Oh, is it?
That's one I'm very interested in seeing, only because of those, and I feel similarly about the first one as the way that you two do. Yeah, it feels like a very Joker feels like a very film bro like love. The first one, we're like, wow, this was so deep, and it's just like, okay, give me a fucking break. And then like I kind of loved the second one, kind of probably pissed them off because it was quote a musical or whatever it is.
But also I heard it's like a musical like directed by someone who seemingly hates musicals based on how it was made.
I'm sure. I mean, I'm talking about the fact that I haven't seen it, but I do want to watch it just have an opinion on it for sure.
Oh, for sure. But I did hear that too, Jamie, that he was trying to convince people that it wasn't a musical, but use language that was like direct definition of a musical.
Like, what are you talking about? Are there people singing to music? Then it's a music. What do you mean? I don't know.
Anyways, yes, especially because wait, what's that word, Brian? It's like if they're singing and it's like performing in the show, but like
diegetic versus non-diegetic. Yeah,
you're smart. Yes,
like moving the plot and story along.
Yes.
No, not even that.
Not even.
One is the characters know they're singing. Like for instance, anything that happens in the cabaret, like they know they're singing the song, like Mein Herr and Cabaret, but they still move the plot forward in some ways. Like her singing Cabaret moves the plot, like at least emotionally moves the plot forward, versus non-diegetic songs, which is most musicals where they just, when words are too much, when words aren't enough, they sing.
Yeah.
I know
it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. I did write a song called that.
That's a lyric from Brian's song.
Yes. Well, thank you for that, because my brain was gonna crap out on me trying to think of what those words were. Diegetic and non-diegetic. So Jamie, you already mentioned the blackout, but I just want to like clarify, in the movie, is blacking out because of trauma, you've already said like yes, that's a thing, but is that somewhere in the realm of like fight, flight, freeze, fawn? Is it like a subcategory of that, or like not associated with that at all?
Not necessarily. Like I think that I think that with fight, flight, oh my god, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, that's speaking to like when our adrenaline kicks in, and so we might not be like cognizantly thinking about our response to something, but like our body is reacting. I think that like blacking out is a very common like symptom that can happen within that space. Like you might hear of people who say like, oh my god, like this thing happened and I blacked out, but like I like attacked this person in like a response, but like not recognizing that they did that. It was just like their body reacting for them, or like running away. Like, so if something scary happened and you like booked it, it's like, oh my god, this thing happened, and like I didn't even realize what was happening. So like it could take some time for our brain to like catch up with the situation. Also in general, like trauma, our memories are like deeply impacted by trauma, so we might not even be able to like fully recall the information that happened. So definitely not in like the order that it happened. So like there could be big chunks of the experience that are completely missing from your memory. So like that surprisingly, something in this movie is not totally inaccurate, but like it could make sense.
What? Are we talking about the same movie?
But yeah, if something like really traumatic, like this person was like attacking her, then there is a chance that like she might have, blacked out part of that experience because it was like so horrifying and scary.
Sure.
Yeah. Cool.
And still reactive in like I need to get away from this person like as quickly as possible.
Right. And so it could have like flight part of it. It's like just exit. Okay, cool. Great. Well, that is all that I have for that. Should we Rotten Tomatin this?
Yeah, let's do Rotten Tomatin.
It's the Rotten Tomatoes game.
Rotten Tom Moulton.
All right. What do you think this has on Rotten Tomatoes?
I forgot. I guess I already saw it by accident.
Oh, you did? Okay. Jamie, what do you
Yeah.
think this has on Rotten Tomatoes?
19.
11.
Yeah.
Wow.
It has a
Accurate.
42% on the popcorn meter, which is the
Audience.
audience score.
Okay.
And the critic consensus reads, Jason may solidify his iconic wardrobe in this entry, but Friday the 13th Part 3 lacks any other distinguishing features, relying on a tired formula of stab and repeat. Yeah, that's
Stab
pretty
and
accurate.
repeat.
In 3D.
Right. Let's take a picture on this stab and repeat.
Yeah. What do you think this movie has on Letterboxd? Again, 0 out of 5 with decimal points. Nikisha, you go first here.
1.4.
All right. Jamie?
Maybe like a 2.
Is a 2.7.
Oh.
Wow. Way more than I thought.
And the top 3 most popular reviews are, did not realize this was supposed to be 3D. Now it makes sense why Andy kept showing his girlfriend his yo-yo instead of having sex.
Perfect. Perfect.
Number 2,
Oh, it's so
you got to
stupid.
respect a 3D movie that has an eyeball pop straight into the camera.
Oh, that's right. One of the kills. Yeah. It's like just pops out.
And the number 1 review, review is, if some dude was walking around the house on his hands all the time, I'd also kill him.
What a stupid. I just remember watching him and I was like, wait, I don't even remember why you're doing this.
Just to be doing it. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Awful.
Do you think they were like, okay, someone needs to be killed upside down?
Right. That's the thing that's gonna,
Like, is that
That'll
what
bring
they
in
were
the
thinking?
audience.
Right.
Yeah. They're gonna love this.
So here are some reviews from friends, people who we've had on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
So
Matthew?
Matt Woods, Hollow Woods, he likes to put quotes for his things. He wrote, "Well, first we take our clothes off, and then you get on top of me, or I can get on top of you." Great.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Okay, if you went to stay somewhere and the only bed was a hammock, what would you do?
Go home.
Literally go home. Because what?
Oh
At this
my
age
God.
now, I'd be like, this. I can't do this.
I
However,
didn't even make a note about the hammock. Oh my God.
well, we're talking about it now.
Yeah, that's
And I would go home, but in my younger years, I would have been like, okay, but this is the weekend.
hammock weekend.
Cool. Yeah.
Hammock weekend. Everybody get in the hammock.
Hammock. Oh God. No.
and then
literally, it's like why? Why?
Why?
Is there in that big old house not another
and
bed?
yeah, like what? It's like, is a hammock room like a waterbed room, like in another house?
Ooh, I love the waterbed.
So
I don't think I've ever been in a waterbed ever.
I don't think I have
Really?
either. No,
I had one
No.
in my teenage years.
Wait,
You
really?
had
They make
one?
teenager
Yes.
sized ones?
Teenage size in my teenage years.
I thought they
had
just
a
made like
waterbed.
giant, like larger than king size bed water beds.
No, it was queen.
and you liked it? Did you have to like
Oh my
change the water
God.
out? Did it get moldy? Like, what was
Yeah,
the
you
deal?
do change the water, and so like I had a
What?
window that was low enough to like, put the tube in and like get the water out and get the water in. But it was it was probably from like the ages of 11 to like 15.
What?
That's
I
still a lot of
had-
years for a waterbed.
Yes. I had a waterbed and I loved it, but it was like the thing. I don't know how I got on it, but as far as like why I started liking waterbeds, but I asked my parents for one and they gave me one. So only child
Wow.
privileges.
What a weird thing. I love it.
I love how you ended that with only child
child-
privileges.
Yeah.
I wanted a waterbed, and my parents were like, "Okay, we'll get you a waterbed. And my dad's like, he's grumbling the whole time trying to put the water in, but they still got it for me. So
Wow. I'm so glad that the
Jeez.
inside of that did not get moldy, because let me tell you, today we had to throw away the water play mat. They make like
the
little
slapping one.
the little play mats for babies, and you're supposed to put vinegar in with the water to like try to keep it from getting moldy, but it still got moldy. And I feel like I just put the water in. So
It was gross.
It was gross. Yeah. No water beds for baby.
No.
But on that note, there is another review from a friend, Bree, who we had on for our Chucky episode.
Yes.
Yes.
Shelley from this movie and Franklin from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1978 are essentially the very same annoying person I will not be elaborating at this time.
She just took my suggestion because that's exactly what I thought.
Oh, really?
Yes. I watched this and I was like,
person.
This is Texas. It's the same person.
It's the same person.
Yeah,
yes.
awful.
It's like the meme from The Office where it's like two different pictures and then Pam is like, it's the same picture.
Oh, yeah.
It's both of them. It's both of them. They're the same character.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Yes.
All right.
It's like Spider-Man looking at Spider-Man.
Yeah. Should we do the 4 S's?
Yes.
All right.
Skull, scare, shakes, and suggestions. The Talking Horrors 4 S's.
The 4 S's are skulls, scares, shakes, and suggestions. Excuse me. Skulls is how well this movie handled mental health and human behavior, 1 through 10. Scares, how scary was it? Shakes, how will this stay with you? And suggestions, movies to suggest with this one. Jimmy, why don't we start with you?
Sure. For Skulls, I gave this movie a 3. I awarded 1 point because like someone took a shower, which is a relatively normal thing to do. They were driving, they could drive, so that got another 1. And using basic functions like eating, sleeping, breathing, and that's about it.
Handstands,
yeah. That's it.
No, that got like -3 points.
Yeah.
For scares, I gave this a 0. They're like, really, this wasn't even tense. Like, it was just so chaotic and boring at the same time that like it just there's nothing scary about this. It's scary how bad it is.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And for shakes, kind of like what Brian was saying earlier about like not remembering anything from this movie, I gave it a 1 because I think I'll only remember. I didn't even remember that he got the mask, to be totally honest. I really only remember the handstand. I will remember that over the fact that this is the definitive movie where he gets his stupid mask.
Yes, that's it. That's funny. Wow.
Right, Nikisha?
Yeah, mine's similar. 2 for skulls, 0 for scares, and 1 because of the mask. That's it.
Sure. I gave a 1 for skulls, a 0 for scares, and I gave a 3 for shakes because this is the third one.
Okay, fair.
My suggestion is Smile 2 is now streaming on Paramount Plus, so just watch that. Like watch a good movie.
Watch a great movie, a film with a capital F. Okay.
Nikisha.
So OG Texas Chainsaw, because of also what Ditto Bree Loves Horror said, but also if you want something in 3D that's stupid but better, Saw the Final Chapter 3D.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Jamie.
Honestly, I didn't write anything because my thought was just like watch literally any other movie. Like any other movie. But if you, again, I guess if we go with like if you want to watch something that is 3D, but I guess you can't really watch it in 3D anymore, is My Bloody Valentine 3D.
Oh yeah,
that one's fun. I like that one
because I do remember rewatching it, not in 3D, and I was like, "Oh, that's silly looking now."
So
that's
wild.
all she wrote.
So good.
Okay, well that wraps up our very quick episode of Friday the 13th, Part 3. You can follow us on the socials: Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky at Talk Horror Pod for all platforms. And producer Brian, where can they listen to us?
You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. So that is things like Spotify, YouTube. Hi, YouTube. And of course, what's the other one? What do we do? Oh, Apple Podcasts. Rate and review us there. 5 stars, please.
And thank you. How could we possibly end this?
Oh, I got
episode?
one.
Okay.
God damn it, Shelley. Why do you always have to be such an asshole? Sorry. And I'm not an asshole. I'm an actor. Same thing.
What? That was a direct quote?
Yeah, that's from the movie.
Forgot it.
So
wild.
Good.
Oh, so wild. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye. Bye.